So our next question comes from Roxanne. She's from Portland, Oregon. She's been playing for 5 years, and they play year-round up there. So her question is kind of on behalf of all the Northwesterners that are fighting to stay in shape in the off-season, despite the weather. What ultimate-specific workouts and drills do we recommend that can be done indoors? Just because I play in the rain and muck doesn't mean I want to be training in it too. Well, I think... I live in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. We get snow there as well. It's cold in the winter. One of the things that I've successfully used over the winter is jump rope training. I think that's been, it's just really easy because you can do it in a small space. The gym that I work out in isn't the fanciest, so you just find a corner where you've got, if you can find an 8 by 8 foot square plot of ground that you can claim in your gym, you can do a lot with it. So you can do all kinds of jump rope training. I do intervals of jumping, and you can do variations of that will help you work on pushing off of the inner versus outer part of your foot, depending on what type of jumping you're doing. It keeps your cardiovascular system up to speed. Also, as an indoor workout, I like doing my lateral movement workouts where I'll do intervals of 30 seconds of shuffling, 30 seconds of skater hops. Doing intervals of those indoors is really easy because, again, all you need is like an 8 by 8 plot that you can claim, and you can use your water bottle as a cone, and you can just set up little kind of agility drills that you can do. And do intervals of those. I really prefer that to, say, hopping on the bike or the treadmill as an indoor workout, and I've had a lot of success with that. And I think that really helps, especially for those that aren't playing Ultimate over the winter. Those lateral movement workouts, I think, are key for helping you transition, because you're, unlike working out on elliptical, which forces you to be just linear, if you can do some lateral intervals indoors, it'll just make your transition to outdoor Ultimate life a lot easier.
My advice to Roxanne is, move to Florida. No, the only difference between doing any kind of workout outside and inside, to me, is just the surface is harder inside. So that's one thing that we need to think about. Forces are going to be dissipated more when we're on grass, and especially the muck that they have out in Portland. So that's going to be less intensity. So she has to be careful. When she starts coming indoors and tries to do the same workouts, it's going to be more pounding, more forces kind of coming upstream, and just be careful. Realize that you're putting force in the ground, but you're getting more out of the ground too, because it's a hard surface. So that's one thing.
Advice.
Yeah, that's one idea, and then. I think that anything we do outside, we can do inside. So whatever your workouts are outside, set that up. And I think it's actually a good thing to get into some low-heeled shoes, some good kind of lateral movement shoes, something, and kind of get to feel out how it feels different to cut on different surfaces. And you'll notice that you actually do kind of recruit different muscles that you're not used to. It's interesting. So I think it's a good balance. And then, as far as strength, buy a kettlebell. You can go into a gymnasium with one kettlebell, and you've got the Turkish get up, you've got the split squat, you've got the rear leg elevated split squat, you've got RDLs, you've got the ability to load that thing with straight leg sit-ups. You've got a lot of different options. So you can get, indoors, I got a kettlebell, so I'm going to come in, I'm going to do I'm going to hit 4-way hip. I'm going to do some mobility. I'm going to do my plyo, my linear speed, my agility work, and then I'm going to do all my core and strength work with my kettlebell. And then I've got maybe a little conditioning at the end. I've got a holistic workout.
Mm-hmm. Excellent, great advice. Okay, I think this is our last question. Last question from Travis McGrath. He's been playing for 5 years. So he says, as I watch and play higher levels of Ultimate, I've noticed good decision-making seems increasingly important. It seems that at some point, everyone on the field is in really good shape, can jump really high, knows how to make incredible throws, difficult catches, lay out Ds, etc. I have heard coaches from other sports talk about keeping practices moving fast to the point of being chaotic, or doing drills where players must respond to audibles. So my question is this. how do you incorporate mental sharpness into a workout to train players to keep sharp when fatigue and adrenaline kicks in? Is there anything specific to Ultimate? I'll just say, as far as like, doing drills to be more chaotic, like one thing that's very simple that you can do is like pretty much any drill that you do that involves like, two lines facing each other, maybe like the go true drill, or I don't know, like the mark throw run drill. If you take those drills, like say you have two groups, if you just move those groups closer together, that does kind of force players to be a little bit more aware of their surroundings and what's going on, making sure they're not, you don't want it to be dangerous, but making sure they're not, running into players coming from the opposite direction. That's one way to add a little bit of chaos in an orderly fashion. So that's one thing that I've seen that people do that's Ultimate specific. You have any tips on mental sharpness and other things?
Well, I mean, if he's being coached, or if he's the coach, then I think it's going to be harder to do that just training by yourself. But like me as a coach, like for example, the jab step progression. Once we get the jab step down, and once we lay it down through the ladder, then once we can't do it in the ladder, then once we get rid of the ladder, we can do it without the ladder. Then once we do the serpentine drills and our jab steps look good, then I'm getting rid of everything, and I'm just going to go out into an open space, and I'm going to have you run a straight line, and then when I say switch, you switch, or switch, so you have to change direction. You have to react to an auditory stimulus, and then there can also be a visual stimulus, and then I might be standing there, and I might do that, you jump, I do that, and you change direction, do that, you change direction, that, you backpedal, that sort of thing. And then, as you were talking about earlier, the mirror drills, that's another way. And then he talks about kind of making good decisions when you're tired. And the first thing that came to mind for me was playing basketball and running suicides, and then collecting yourself and shooting free throws. So I mean, maybe doing a 150 shuttle, and then we've got to throw 10 high release backhands. We do another 150 shuttle. We've got to make 10 forehand completions.
Yeah, I think that's an excellent idea as well. I mean, the first thing that kind of breaks down is throwing form. Which what breaks down first, the throwing form or the decision making? Hard to say, but I think either way, just getting into the practice of when you're tired, realizing you've got to keep in control of your body and you control it, not have it control you. I think doing throwing while you're fatigued is a good option. Also about the mental sharpness and decision making, trying to make sure that you are well conditioned enough that your heart rate is lower than that of your opponent while you're in those tough games. That will also help your decision making. The higher your heart rate, kind of the less your brain is sort of in control. So that's another thing to think about if that's possible. Also, last thing about decision making is the thing that comes to my mind in a tournament situation is making sure that you are ingesting enough carbohydrates. If you are not fueling yourself properly, you are just not going to have good decision making. It has nothing to do with your training. It has to do with the timing of your nutrition. So make sure that you are eating. Make sure that you find something that some players can't handle eating a lot during tournaments, but make sure you try it out in practice. Figure out what your body can handle, what you can eat. Make sure that you're getting the carbohydrates that your brain needs to make decisions late in the game.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So that was our last question. I want to say thanks again, Tim, for for joining us today, and also in the future on the membership site. We're going to look forward to having more live.
What awesome questions! These guys really, really good questions. I hope. I mean, this was fun. I hope they can, keep these questions coming in, and just, so we can help out, give them some good answers.
Yeah, awesome. All right, we will see you next time.